whenever you are asked with certain things, how actually you have to write or how you have to study. Okay, so I'll just tell you how that needs to be done with certain concepts. Let me tell you the concept wise. Okay, so first I'll just go ahead with the functions and arrays, then I'll tell you the looping statements, right? So function declaration, function prototype, function definition and function call can be written, can be explained by, in the previous video you might have seen, sum of the two numbers, sum of the two numbers, or you can just take the swapping of two values, swapping of two numbers. Okay, whereas there you have to mention the syntax of all the three, that is function, definition, declaration, how you have to actually learn this. Okay, and call. Okay, all the three you have to mention within the comments, where is it exactly. Fine, example you can take that. Fine, so this is how you will be writing for a function. Fine, so then what you will write is, so passing parameters is nothing but passing parameters, you can just refer to the call by value itself. Passing parameters also you can just refer to call by value itself, call by value example. Okay, and the next one, then what you have to, or how you can learn is that arrays, for arrays concept, if you have any of the things like that, for arrays concept how we can go through definition, you can just state what is an array, that is listing of elements which belongs to the same data type, that is the definition, and listing of the elements which belongs to the same data type. Example, I can write accessing the array elements, fine, array elements, fine, array elements. Program you can just write. Okay, so you can just print the value of the array, like you can just give int main, then you can just enter some value a of, suppose integer a of, or integer a of I. Okay, then integer I you can state it as, then you can use the for loop, for I equal to 0, I less than n, if you enter the n value, or you can just place it as I less than 5 also, I plus plus, I plus plus, if you are not giving the value by yourself, if you want the computer to print the values. Okay, like sum of n natural number, suppose. Okay, if the value is given, there is no need to add like a of I equal to I plus 1, take the next element and all these things. You can directly print a of I, not at all an issue. Okay, so if you give the value directly, you can print directly a of I. Suppose, see here what I am doing, just take the I plus 1 value and place it in a of I. What is it? 0. A of I will be initially you can place I 0, right? So a of I 0 plus 1 will be 1 for the first one, then 1 plus 1 2, 2 plus 1 3, 3 plus 1 4, 4 plus 1 5. Okay, that will be placed here and it will be printed. So later on you can print whatever is the value of the a of I. Fine, so those things will be added here and it will be printed here in the accessing array elements. Fine, cin and cout you can just refer to the previous programs for accessing the array elements by giving the values. You can just refer to the previous links that I have added before. I am just stating how to write with an example. Okay, so then you can just give, I have not given cout and cin statements, you can add cin and cout and cin statements. Fine, so a of I will be printed how many times? 5 times, and it will be displayed. Since I have given I plus 1 here, what it does, 1 2 3 4 5 will be printed. Suppose if you don't give this, suppose if you want to directly print a of I, what you can do, I can comment this off and you can just place all the 5 elements here itself. If you want to give the elements by yourself, you can place all the 5 to 4 or 10 elements here itself whichever are the elements by giving equal to single symbol and by placing the flower bracket. Okay, inside this you can place the elements, then you can directly print the values here directly rather than stating a of I incrementation. What you can do, you can just directly print the values here. Fine, that you can just go through the previous links, not at all an issue. Fine. So array definition, syntax and example. What is the syntax for array? Data type, name of the array, then size. That's it. Okay, so data type is int, name of the array is a. Okay, and here I am just placing from 0 to 5 elements. So if you are not placing any of the things there, if you want the elements to be placed there, you can give it as a of 10, a of 5, anything. Okay, so that is how you will be placing the things there. And if it is 2D array, data type, name of the array will be the same. If it is 2D array, you can mention it as row size, and this one you can mention it as column size. Okay, so for the program you can just go through the previous link. So this is for writing the array. Fine. And whenever we are asked with something called as, or whenever we just want to learn something called as tokens or character set, keywords, identifiers, so there is no need to write the complete definition in terms of 2 or 3 paragraphs. Fine. So you can just write character set like A to Z, 1 to 0 to 9, etc. Fine. So character set in 2 or 3 lines. What is it? Like 0 to 9 and A to Z. This is what we will study, right? And then keywords. What is a keyword? You have to write one definition of a keyword, that is, it can be used. It is already predefined. It has a predefined meaning, and it cannot be used as and how you want. There is a certain procedure where it needs to be used. Like I cannot use main wherever I want, right? So whenever a main function comes, it is a keyword, so it needs to be accompanied with int or void. So you can just state 2 lines what is a keyword basically, and then you can just give an example for the keyword. And identifier, for identifiers, obviously what you have to do is that identifier, what is an identifier? You can just give the definition of it along with the rules of it, And for data types, basically what we will do, data types, integer, float and character data types, X, right? So integer, float and character data types are the data types that we are just going to refer. So for each of the things, how to write the example, I can write it as int a, float b and char c, right? So you can give the values also, right? Int a equal to 10 and float b equal to 15.3 and char c. So you can just give any of the characters that you want. So basically, fine. So you can state like this: data types which are used to define the type of the data. Fine. So and you can just refer to the size also, like integer 2 bytes, float 4 bytes, and 1 byte will be occupied for character. Okay, char c, whichever the character you can just give in single quote, suppose. Fine, that's it. So what is the next thing that we can do here is that variables and constants. See, variables is one thing which changes. So definition you can add in one line, and then you can just ensure that int a, where a is a variable name, or sum, int sum, where sum is also called as a variable name, where sum is a variable name. Fine. So for the variables, if we just write like this, or if we just study like this, that's more than enough. Fine. Then if we come across the operators, there are many operators, right? So if we come across operators, you can mention that as, you can just study like this, or you can just go through that like this. One is arithmetic operator, okay, and under that I can write it as plus, minus, star, slash, etc. Fine. Then I can just give the examples like a plus b, a plus b. You can just state like int a equal to 5, int b equal to 4. Fine. So a plus b, you can make it as, since it's not taking for me, I'll give tab. Okay, a plus b, you can give it small letter. Okay, 5 plus 4 equal to 9. And again for minus, star and slash, then you can just give one relational operator. Fine. So less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Give example. Okay, give example like 5 is less than 9. In the same way, give the examples for others. Fine. Then you can just write arithmetic operator, relational operator. Then you can write for conditional operators. Conditional operators, you can write two of them, and with truth table or with truth table. Fine. Conditional operators. Then I can just write a comma operator as well. Comma operator as well. Fine. A, comma b, etc. Fine. So then I can just write any bitwise operators or negation operator. Fine. So you can write any of the other operators. So just 5 to 6 operators if you study and write the example in a simple way like this, that is more than enough for to study or to go ahead or to go through the things in a better way. Fine. So then conditional branching statements. When you come across a conditional branching statements, which are the conditional branching statements? Conditional branching statements. Conditional branching statements. If else, nested if else, and switch. Fine. For all of this, write if, then what is the definition in one line, and write the syntax of it. Okay, that is already stated. And example. Example you can write, see, for if and if else you can write the same example, that we can write it as like whatever we have, odd or even. Odd or even. Okay, which contains, this can be written for both if and if else. Example, if comma if else. Fine. Nested if else, multiple conditions you can write. And for switch you can write it as the grade of the students that can be printed. Fine. And for the nested if else, inside if you will have if else, and again inside else you will again have if else. You can just go through the example in the previous links. So this is how you have to write for the conditional statements, and you can write the odd or even for both if and if else example. For both if and if else example. Fine. So the next one is looping statements, or you can call it as iterative statements. Looping or iterative, it has both the names. Statements. Fine. So for this you have for, you have while and do while. Okay. So for you can just go ahead with the prime numbers that we have added in the previous link. For you write syntax, that is for, we have seen that in the previous links. Okay, you can write the prime numbers, you can study the prime numbers, or you can go ahead with this program itself. If you are just going through, you can just make sure that whichever the program that contains for loop can be given as the example for this as well. Fine, not at all an issue. Fine, like sum of n natural numbers or prime numbers, wherever you will come across for loop can be given as the example for loop. In the same way, for while you can write, go ahead with the syntax and you can go ahead with the example. Fine, only the placing of the initialization condition and increment or decrement changes, rest all will be the same. And then for do while as well, you can just go ahead with the syntax first, then the example you have to follow. Fine, so examples anyhow that is being mentioned in the previous slides. Fine, and for the break, refer to the same thing, as that of switch, statement, because in the switch we are using the break. Fine, so this is how you can just go ahead and study all these conditional statements, branching statements, keywords, variables, functions, and accessing the array elements, and call by value for the functions. So all these things you can study based upon these suggestions. Okay, so for all the examples you can just go ahead with the previous links that is already posted to you. Thank you.